This is, for a lot of us, the best time of the year in Maine. People love fall. It's on the front cover of the October issue of Down East magazine, which features a piece on Camden in autumn. With us here on 207, Brian Kevin, the editor-in-chief of Down East, to talk about what else is in the issue. Thank you for coming in. Good to see you as always.
Yeah.
Let's start with a nice profile of a guy from Wiscasset who has one of the more unusual jobs in Maine. His name is Eric McIntyre. What does he do?
We love to find these makers that have found a little bailiwick and are doing something with their hands. Our readers love that. And Eric McIntyre, who runs this store that's called Village Handcraft in Wiscasset, he is an outdoor education guy that along the way found himself really getting into woodwork, and then specifically really getting into making artisan brooms. You ever seen an artisan broom?
I don't think I ever had until I saw the photos in the magazine.
They're beautiful. It made me look at my crappy 10-year-old Target broom and think that it was inadequate. So he makes these in all different sizes. He does other things in his shop in downtown Wiscasset as well, but hand whittles the handles and has a philosophy about how they should be held and what makes a good broom handle. Ties there's a word for it that I'm forgetting, the strands together, and they're super attractive. It also occurs to me they'd be a really interesting gift. We like the guy.
And you look at it and you say, I should have a broom like that in my closet, and we feel shame for not having it.
There's an expression like a new broom sweeps clean or something like that, and I honestly was looking at my broom askance this week.
Really interesting article on the disappearance of a breed of bird called Fallow Ropes in Passamaquoddy Bay. There were great numbers of these birds there until about the early 80s.
Yeah.
And this is a mystery story, right?
It continues to be a mystery 40 years later, and it's one of these great stories where you just let a good writer, in this case a fellow named Willie Blackmore, chase down some weird little thing that interests them. So he got wind of the fact that these huge colonies of migrating seabirds called Fallow Ropes, small, charismatic, interesting little birds that used to raft by the literal millions, hundreds of thousands in any case, in Cobscook Bay. Over the years, for reasons we only still kind of understand, they up and disappeared. Where they went, where they're staging instead, what happened to the population. It's not something that made a huge splash at the time, but there's a handful of biologists and scientists and local folks up there who are still really bothered by this, and there's a sense in which it kind of presaged a whole era of environmental change, especially in the Gulf of Maine, that we're seeing now.
Let's turn to the cover story, which is Camden in autumn. Beautiful photographs by Benjamin Williamson, and just a nice look at what is without question one of the glorious places in this state.
And it's our backyard, and we sometimes have a tendency to give our backyard short shrift. I mean, we all do, right? There's the thing that you take it for granted, but sent Ben wandering around during foliage season last year, and even in what turned out to be an okay foliage year, you realize, God, we live someplace really special, whether it's these little harbor towns up and down the water. The Camden Hills, are literally my backyard. I have trailheads right outside. We talk about Edna Vincent Millay in the story. There's a reason she loved it and gushed over it, and we tried to give some little potential itineraries for different kinds of
Well, that's the
travel.
nice thing. It's not just the photographs, although the photographs are wonderful, but also you've got, news you can use, information for where to eat, where to stay, different kinds of itineraries for different kinds of travelers.
80% of our staff lives there. If we can't tell you something fun to do in Greater Camden, we are really dropping the ball. So.
Were you reluctant to give away all your insider tips?
Not at all. Share and share alike.
I have to admit, you wrote a line that I really liked. It said that Camden in autumn, Camden has a romance to autumn. There is a romance to autumn in the Camden Hills that no place in New England can match.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, I think that's not open to too much debate. Brian Kevin, editor-in-chief of Down East magazine, thank you as always.
Thanks.
And the October issue of Down East is out now. Stick around. We're going to be back with more of 207 in just a moment.